Okay, so today I'm going to be talking to you about my top 3 summer sessions. Okay, so my first top summer session is Track Tuesday. So typically when I head to the track, I have my go-to sessions, which when I used to train with the athletics club, every Tuesday we would do 10 400s on the track. So this would be right at the top end of my speed. And to tailor that more to a long distance session, I would normally run to the track, do a bit of a warm up on the track to kind of extend the warm up, do the 10 400s, a little cool down on the track and then run home. So it would end up being somewhere near around 15-kilometre run, even though it was only 4K of really hard work in the session. So that's a really good way of making that session a bit more adaptable if you're doing the Ironman distance, because it is still important to do the top end, because ultimately you don't just want to go slow all day long, you want to bring your slower pace up a bit so you can go still pretty fast on that Ironman distance. Okay, so my top technical tips for running and running on the track is, the good thing actually with track running is when you're running at the higher top end, you have to run with good form in order to go faster. So you will find that your technique will benefit from running at the highest speed. But I always try and focus on being quite upright but leaning forward and leaning into my run. And actually I find when I'm running on the track and running fast, I actually run a little bit more up on my toes as well. So you can focus on that forefoot landing and really driving through each stride. And obviously another top tip is that I actually try not to run the same way round when I run on the track. I'll alternate my reps, so I go in different directions so that I don't kind of favour one side and end up with niggles or imbalances. So always try and rotate what way you run around the track. The way that we make this session fun is we often send me off and then Reese, so I get a bit of a head start and then he's chasing me down, so I have to try and not let him catch me. And then if we do it with a group, then we'll also kind of set a runner that's slightly slower than me off, maybe 5 or 10 seconds in front, and I'll try and catch them. So you play a bit of cat and mouse and try and make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so obviously Track Tuesday, the clue is in the name that we do track every Tuesday. It's a weekly session, tends to be normally about an hour long, depending on our run there and back. It may be a 90-minute session. It also varies depending on what the main workout is. So like I said, we do 10 400s. Sometimes we'll do some 1K reps and sometimes we'll throw in some 1 mile reps at the end. So we typically build it up over the course of the year and then peak with somewhere around 5 1Ks and maybe a couple of 1 mile reps. And these will be at different paces. So normally an hour to 90 minutes is the session, and it's a weekly session and it's pretty intense. So I like to do Track Tuesday on the track, but if I can't get down to the track, I will do the session on the treadmill as well. I actually find the session to be a lot more intense when I'm doing it on the treadmill, because I just feel like I'm really in the work zone, and I don't normally do active recovery on the treadmill. I'll do static rest, so I prefer to go to the track because I'll actually jog easy in between reps, whereas at home on the treadmill I'll just kind of stand there anticipating the next amount of pain to come. So it's definitely a different session, and I find I get my head way more in the zone and I'm more motivated for the session if I actually go down the track, because I just feel like I'm back at school doing like an athletics competition or something, so I really get up for the session when I go there. Yeah, so if you haven't got a track near you, good alternatives are obviously the treadmill, marking out a 400-kilometre distance or a 1K distance that you know on a fairly flat surface. So even if it's just a stretch of pavement that goes out for like a kilometre, that works quite well. We're also super lucky that down at our local park they've actually painted a track on the grass, so we haven't got access to a normal track at the moment, but we can go and just run around in circles on the grass. Okay, so my next favourite summer session is open water swimming or heading to the lake for some open water. So I've already covered my top tips for open water swimming, so if you do want to see what they are, you can click up here, you'll see a little white tab, and you can go ahead and watch that video to find out exactly what my top tips are for getting a good open water swim in. So with open water swimming, a lot of people kind of just head down to the lake and just swim, but there's actually a ton of ways you can make it into quite a fun session. So if you've got, say, a 500 metre lap, I like to kind of build each lap. So I'll do one lap as a warm-up, and then build maybe 3 laps where I'm trying to get faster, and I'll clock my time and then look at how much harder I've had to go a bit quicker. So it's a really good way of building up the session. So typically if we've got a 500 metre lap, I'll probably go and do my warm-up, build the lap for 3 laps, and then do an easy lap, and then I might do it again if I'm doing quite a long session. There's also really good ways of just building in some speed. So for example, doing 20 to 30 strokes really hard, and then going easy for a bit and then doing it again. So you're almost doing intervals in the open water, because when we swim down the pool, I've never really got in and just say swam 3 kilometres straight. I would always have a session to do. So it's always good to bring in some kind of intensity. And if you are heading down the lake with some of your friends, then you can almost do like a lap where you race, and then a lap easy, a lap where you race, a lap easy, just to bring in something different to just a steady swim. However, there is absolutely nothing wrong with going and doing a steady swim down the lake as well. It works really well for recovery and building your endurance. So at the moment in the UK, swimming in a pool is still fairly limited. So open water swimming, I'm doing about 3 times a week. Typically most swims are about an hour long as well. So that's normally probably what I would do in the pool in a normal kind of week as well. So I've just moved that across to the open water. And gradually, obviously, as it gets colder in the UK, I'll swim in the lakes less until I can't even wear the thermal wetsuit without getting too cold, then I'll probably leave it. So yeah, about 3 times a week for about an hour. Okay, so open water swimming is obviously still quite different to swimming in the pool and things like an endless pool. You will typically find that most people do just go and do a continuous swim. It's a great way to test your race equipment though, so obviously I probably wouldn't go in a pool in my wetsuit, so I do find there's a benefit to going down the lake and getting used to swimming in a wetsuit, so that's a good way of doing things. I find it's way easier to do a quite intense session in a normal swimming pool, but normally lakes are quite calm, and I do find that endless pools replicate a bit of a choppy open water condition better. So by having all 3, you're getting the best of both worlds, but even if you've got access to only one of those, there's still tons of benefits for your swimming. So obviously if there's not a lake near you and you want to do some open water swimming, you may live near the coast, so there may be somewhere that you can swim there, but obviously always check before you swim that it's safe to do so and there's not rip tides or super choppy conditions or scary wildlife in there. Always just check before you go and swim in a lake as well, because some of them are not safe to swim in, so always double check to be safe. And obviously if you can get access to a pool, then definitely do that as well. Okay, so my 3rd favourite summer session is long rides or weekend rides. Typically most triathletes do their long rides at the weekend, so yeah, just riding long. Okay, so my top tips for planning a route are, if there's somewhere you fancy going and riding, typically we use Strava to plot a route and draw it all out, and then we can create the GPX file and then just upload straight to our Wahoo Roam bike computers, which have a nice map for us to follow. For example, a few weekends ago we wanted to ride to the beach at Southend, so Reese plotted a route that wouldn't take us on any of the kind of busy, scary roads, all the back closed lanes. Ended up being a really nice route. So always plot your route, double check it so you're not going to end up on some like dual carriageway or busy road, but super simple. And there's also things like most popular routes on there that other people have done. So if you're planning a route, you can use one that cyclists have used often, and they're normally quite a safe bet.
So apparently, if you ever get stuck for water, churches should always have a tap outside. It's a good little bit of useful information for you guys out there doing the long rides.
It's also worth double checking the route, because sometimes there's like bits of road that maybe require a gravel bike or a cyclocross bike, so always check that if you're not going to be on a cross bike, because it's not always great to take your best wheels off-road. So yeah, just check the route before you do it. Okay, so when you're doing a long ride, you want to try and make it as fun as possible because you may be out for hours and hours on end. So I like to invite some of my super fast friends to come out and ride with so I can hang on to their wheels. I don't know how fun that is, it's fun for a while. I also have a really cool speaker that I attach to my bike so we can have some good music playing throughout the whole ride. It just keeps a nice feel to the ride, keeps everyone motivated. Okay, so I've just been sent the Tribit Stormbox Micro Portable Speaker and I'm going to try it out on today's ride. It's meant to be super loud, so we're going to test out the volume on it. It's going to attach to my handlebars, so we're going to see how stable it is on there and really put us through its paces on our first ride with it. So looking forward to giving it a try. Obviously, even as pros, we do like to have a coffee and a cake stop, so we always try and plan in a route where we can stop by a really nice cafe and just have maybe like 10-15 minutes to just chill out, normally maybe up to an hour if we have too much coffee. But yeah, just planning in nice stops along the way, or maybe even sightseeing so you know that the route that you're going to go past is going to see something really cool. Yeah, just keep it nice and social. The pace normally is quite quick if the more riders you have because you just move faster. So yeah, it seems pretty easy to keep the weekend rides fun. We've got a good group of people, and if the weather is nice, that just makes it that bit better too. Don't plan good weather because you can't book it in, it will rain. Yeah, so ways to kind of incorporate a session into a long ride. Something that we do a lot, and I think other triathletes and cyclists do, is we normally race for village signs. So, and then we keep like a little count between who's winning the game. So that always is quite fun, apart from if you're riding for like 5 hours, you can bonk after 3 if you don't fuel properly doing that game. So just make sure you fuel properly, or it can be quite miserable towards the end. We often like to work the climbs on rides as well, so we may decide that on this ride we're going to do big gear efforts on all the climbs, stay seated and just grind them out. We may incorporate some longer efforts, so 3 times 20 minutes where we're working around kind of the sweet spot zone, just bringing in some way of making it fun. We do through and off as a group, so the person on the front is working quite hard, and then just alternate it. So there are tons of ways to actually make a long ride not just a long steady ride, but actually get some solid hard work in there as well.
Pre-hydration.
How far are we riding today?
227 kilometres.
But you told me it was 240 kilometres yesterday.
We can do a little bit more if you want. The last 13 kilometres we are going to do a run.
With our cleats on?
Yep.
Chris Froome style.
Hydration.
Okay, so the boss said 227 kilometres today. Big ride today. Sun is out, bikes are prepped. Reese has hydrated himself like a plant. We are good to go. We've got 210k to go. I'm tactically positioned at the back. Then all the boys do the work. I'll take some shifts later on, but might as well take it easy to begin with. Puncher one of the day. Luckily not for Team Charles-Barclay. It's a rare occasion where someone else on the ride gets a flat. It's not me or Reese.
We are in Dumno.
Do you know where that is?
No, I don't know where it is.
No, I don't know where Dumno. I don't know where that is either. Can't Dumno remember.
So the difference between long riding on the road and long riding on Zwift is obviously riding indoors on Zwift is just way more time efficient. It's a little bit less social, but we do use apps like Discord so that even if we're doing, like when we were in lockdown, for example, we still did our weekend group rides, but we were all just on Discord talking to each other. So that actually made it really fun. It's way easier to monitor your nutrition when you're indoors because you can just have it all laid out. So that's pretty good. It's obviously safer indoors as well, so there's less risk of anything like that. And we do live in quite a busy area. So I do often favour indoors, particularly when it's wet and horrible as well. But going outside is obviously a bit more fun. Time goes way faster. You can stop at a coffee shop, have a bit of a break, and just have a bit more fun. You can't really sprint for road signs on Zwift, but you can sprint for the sprint segments and comm jerseys and whatnot. So yeah, both have tons of benefit, but it's worth mixing them up just to make your training that bit more fun. So those were my top 3 summer sessions. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. We have now created a playlist of my outdoor workouts, so if you want to get more of a feel of what it looks like when I'm training maybe abroad or in the UK, go and check that out. And as always, don't forget to subscribe by clicking here for loads of cool new videos.